Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between. Before we get into giving away some valuable content, all for free, we don't charge for what we do. I do need something from you. Like the video, it's down here somewhere, more than likely. Comment. The more you comment, the more it shows this content to others out there in the world. Subscribe to the channel. Like if you're watching this right now and you're not actually subscribed, you're making me sad. Like it doesn't make any sense. Just the subscribe button's over here somewhere. Hit it and then continue to watch what we talk about. Because hey, guess what? There are people that charge for what the kind of stuff we give away for free. You don't have to pay for what you're going to hear from us today. Just subscribe, like, and comment is all that we ask. Adam, it's Friday. You don't normally get a chance to record with me on a Friday, but we've set aside about 20 minutes today to talk about hobby, job, and business owner mentality in the entrepreneurial space and insurance. How's that sound for today?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So you made a comment on today's featured segment on our morning call, which you're on every Friday, is hobby. Agents that have a license, have a carrier contract, have a desire to make some money, but treat this business like a hobby. Can you unpack what that really means?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not putting 100% of their effort into it. Maybe they have somebody else in their home who has a full-time career with benefits, and maybe they just do this to make a little bit of extra money. I mean, I guess that's okay, but if someone wants to really be successful and have that full-time career and long-term success, you can't treat it like a hobby. You really have to put the time in. There's a lot to it. We talk a lot about working leads and the fact that not everybody that we meet with are able to meet us during the regular business hours of 9 to 5. There's people that are working during the day, so we have to work around their schedules. That means that we may have to work after 5 o'clock at night. Usually we do. We might have to work on a Saturday. I mean, it's like, again, we talk about the investment in leads and the amount of money that we have to spend. Well, you want to get the biggest return on your investment as possible. You're not going to get the biggest return on your investment if you treat it like a hobby and you just go out and work the leads when you feel like it.
Yeah, I think that kind of starts to define what a hobby is if you're treating this as if you do it when you feel like it. There's a lot of things in life that I do that I don't feel like doing. I don't feel like going to the gym the times that I do. I never do. I wake up and say, nope, nope. But then I like fall out of the bed and have to end up there 30 minutes later. I don't feel like cleaning up after cats or dogs. Absolutely don't feel like that. I don't feel like many times going to work and leaving my home and going into the homes that are sometimes not very clean and filled with not very nice people on occasion. But it's something that you have to do when it's your job. What are some other characteristics of treating it like a hobby? Because I'm hoping if someone watches this right now and they say to themselves, oh shit, that's me. Maybe they'll realize they really are treating it like a hobby and can evolve into treating it like a job, which we're going to unpack next.
Well, like I said, I kind of feel like they're just not putting the time in. Maybe they're taking the leads that they get and they're taking the time to set up appointments. And then that's the only leads that they're working. So if they have appointments set on the leads, they're going to go out and see those people, but they're not going to do anything else with the people that they don't set up appointments on, or that they just can never get a hold of.
That's a good one.
You got to do all the little extras. And if that's all you're doing is just working your appointments, and you're going to be wasting a lot of leads, and heck, leads are not cheap. Like I said, if you want the best return on your investment, you got to do what's ever necessary to get in front of that person. And for me, I mean, I kind of look at it, even if I call and they tell me no over the phone, well, they're going to have to tell me no to my face too. So, and that's how I treat it. They might reject me on the phone. Well, they're not even going to realize I'm the same person if I show up in a couple days. But those are the things that I think maybe if someone is treating this like a hobby, they're not doing. They're just, like I said, they're calling their leads. They're setting them up when they are able to. And again, when you put in that half ass effort, what do you think you're going to get in return?
You're gonna get half-assed return. And the saddest part about that is the only person that person is half-assing is themselves. Like their upline is not going to lose their home because they're half-assing their business. Their upline is not going to lose the growth in their agency because that person's half-assing their business. They're just hurting themselves. And like you said earlier, they're risking missing the opportunity that this 6 and 7 figure industry can offer them. That's sad. Like I cannot imagine an agent, and I'm sure there's been thousands of them that come to the realization months and years later, I missed it. Like I had a license, I had a carrier, I had some guy that told me how to make this work. I had some people that wanted insurance from me, and I blew it. Like what an awful feeling of regret that, cripples people when they realize this job and this hourly wage, and that's it. Um, Talk about an investment of time. You talk about people can be half-assing their business by not putting in enough time. How much time should an agent be putting into their business not to be half-assing their business?
As much time as it takes to get in front of all of their leads, or at least try to get in front of all their leads. So that just, yeah, like I said, that just means it's not a 9 to 5 job or career. It's you got to do whatever's necessary to get in front of the people. So yeah, I mean, it's I've always said the only time you're really working is when you're sitting in front of somebody that
Mhm.
can say yes to your offering. Everything else is just preparatory. So to me, running around trying to catch up with people, that's just preparatory. I'm working when I'm sitting in front of somebody. So again, you just, yeah, you got to put the time in and put as much effort in as possible to do what you can to get in front of the people. And working leads, I always said it's like kind of putting a puzzle together, trial and error. You try in the morning, you don't reach them. You try later in the day, you try in the evening. You might have to try on a Saturday. You might have to try on a Sunday. Sooner or later, you're going to be able to put the pieces to the puzzle together. But you're not going to be able to get all the pieces to the puzzle together if you're not putting the time in to figure out where the pieces go.
Yeah. Let's talk about the evolution of the hobbyist. Hopefully, if someone realized that was them today, they kind of shape up before they miss the chance. And a job mentality. I did a training with one of our agencies yesterday, and I told the guys, just take the pressure off yourself. Treat it like it's a job. Treat it like you're a social worker. Treat it like you really don't care if they buy or they do. And then when you take the pressure off yourself, you've in turn taken the pressure off the sales situation, the possible consumer, and then they'll buy more often. Like if you're in there thinking, I got to close this, Miss Johnson, you got to buy this, Adam, you got to take this policy, people aren't going to take it. But when you just kind of sit back in your chair, you relax, you go over the information, you do a really good job at what you're supposed to do, it's a whole lot less confrontational. You ever been in that situation before where you kind of just took a step back, sat back in your chair, and didn't really make it so high pressure?
Well, yeah, I mean, heck, if you're making it high pressure, that's one way that you're going to set yourself up for chargebacks too. If you're really, really having to push that person to move forward, that's usually how you're going to get a call 2 hours later from the person telling you, never mind, I don't want it. Um, I never really pushed too hard, to be quite honest. I am pretty laid back with the presentation, and that people filled the thing out. They called in, they inquired online for a reason. So I know that they need it. I guess it's just a matter of putting that back in that mindset of reminding them of why it's so important. And it really sells itself at that point. So yeah, that's kind of that's all I really got on it.
I think also when you treat it like a job, that means you just show up. Like plenty of people in America today, it's 9:48 Eastern on a Friday. They just show up. Like they're going to do what they're supposed to do for the next 8 hours. They're going to get paid the same no matter what they do, and they're just going to show up. And I think sometimes it's really okay in our business to simply just show up for the day, and what else comes from that comes because you showed up for your job. What do you think about that mentality?
Well, if you just show up, yeah, I mean, I think you'll make some sales. I think it's important to maybe get to the point that you're passionate about what you do.
Mhm.
I think people can tell when you are in a home, if you truly do care, or if you're just acting like you do. I think it makes a difference when you're sitting there and you can just kind of show that this really is going to make a difference in your family's life, and I'm going to do what I can too to help them when the time comes, make their lives a little bit easier. And most of the people that we talk to for final expense, they've been through it where a family member passed, they weren't prepared, the whole family had to worry about pitching in to pay for it. That's why they filled out the inquiry, because they don't want to put their family in that same sort of situation. So sometimes it's just a matter of sitting there and reminding them of that. But you got to be passionate about it. You got to show that you care, and you can't just have that, they say, like commission breath where you're just trying to make a sale. One term I can't stand is when someone says, I just wrote up another deal. Like, to me, this is more important than just some sort of deal. Like,
Mhm.
we're doing something that's really making a difference in a family's life. And I think that's the way that you need to treat it. And you'll be much more successful when you know that what you're doing is really going to make a difference in people's lives.
Well said. I think that passion sort of progresses its way through, spectrums throughout the day and the week, but showing up sometimes just gets you out the door and in front of people. You work that 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., you put yourself in front of 15 people, and the rest works itself out, and you find what you're passionate about. I also find sometimes that maybe you're not really always dead set passionate about the business, but the business can supply a passion in your life. And that's perfectly okay too. Maybe you want to donate to animals or local politics or time with your kids or the church. And this business can allow you to make a lot of money in a set amount of time and then enjoy other passions in life. You can make six figures, 250 a year, 325, working 70, 80 hours a week for somebody else and not having the ability to have a passion outside this business. So recognizing if your passion is in the business or fueled by the business, I think is fine too. Talk to us as well about the business owner mentality. You talked about today on our morning call that you kind of have 3 or 4 different jobs. You're in the field selling, you're in the field training, you're building, you're an editor, podcaster, all kinds of different jobs. But talk about the business owner mentality that comes from recognizing that you really do own your own business in this industry.
Well, I think again, it goes back to seeing the opportunity for what it is and really what could be. And when you see people out there, when you see organizations out there putting up millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of premium, uh, heck, honestly, I mean, the guy running an organization like that, I don't feel like anybody like that is better than me or you. I mean, they get up every day just like we do. I mean, it's just a matter of putting the time in. And I mean, yeah, people that have built organizations like that, heck, they put the time in. They didn't get up and work 3 hours and you know screw around the rest of the day. Like, they put the time in. That's what you have to do to be successful. And heck, if I have to work 2 or 3 or 4 different jobs that are all part of what I'm currently doing, that's just what I'm going to have to do. But I'm willing to put in the time in now. So maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, I'm good. I'm not going to have to worry about putting in nearly as much time.
Well said.
It's they say you either put in the time now or you're going to have to put in a lot more later. I don't want to be out working leads when I'm 65 years old. I don't want to have to still be knocking on doors, and I don't want to have to depend on making money at that point.
Yeah, no disrespect to someone who chooses that, but that's not what I choose. I choose to kind of treat or train and develop others, grow the business, both front end income and back end income, develop great partnerships so that at that age, I can enjoy the life that I have for however long I have left to live it. I had a person say to me something this week that just had me laughing because you talk about agencies that put up millions and millions of dollars of production. Was talking to a carrier, they'll remain nameless, about the amount of volume they want on a product. And I'm like, that does not seem like a lot of volume. Then I was talking to somebody else about what that carrier said. And he said Sean Mike's left nut could put out that much volume. But it's true. I mean, like, the man's put in so much effort into building an agency and a business and a generational business at this point. His left nut really could pump out that kind of production. And that's something that if one person can do it, anyone can do it, which is one of your mottos I think you have tattooed to your back, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, yeah, like I said, I mean, yeah, I'm sure, I don't really know him personally, but I mean, heck, I mean, I'm sure that he's got to be a workhorse to be able to put up that sort of volume and to kind of build as large of an organization as he has. So if I want to get to that point, I know I'm going to have to put in the same sort of effort and the same amount of time and connect myself with the right people with the same mindsets that kind of have that same growth mentality of really wanting to build and grow and make something happen.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about, you can't do it all yourself. You got to kind of surround yourself by people that kind of have the same like mindsets and desires to move forward to really build something big.
Yeah, we're going to unpack that in just a minute. One of the things I like about Waylon, the dude is as quick at answering a text as humanly possible. I think he already has some type of implant that answers text simply from brainwaves because nobody else in the industry answers a text as quickly as he does. I've worked with people before, talked to people before who would take hours and days to get back over a simple question. And it gets frustrating when you want just a simple answer to something to keep the day moving. So that kind of work yields that kind of results. Let's talk about running your business, running leads, and having a supportive organization that allows an agent to do just that. Run their business by going out there and seeing the people and letting the rest of the infrastructure work for them along the back in the background.
Yeah, that's one thing when I first got in the business. Well, I'd say about a year after I was in the business. When I first got in the business, I did I did Medicare, I did health insurance for about a year. Uh, I was working together with my dad, who's been in the business forever. I think since like 1976, and I was just getting started. I was 21 years old, and at the time, doing health insurance, Medicare, he was just doing everything he could to try to get me leads. And that was really the key. He wanted to get me leads. And it just kind of got to the point where he was just trying to find sources for leads. He came across a company, Final Expense, that actually helped when it came to the leads. And he knew that was a big part of it. That heck, if I had a good steady flow of leads on a regular basis, I was 21 years old. I didn't have a whole lot of money to pay for the leads. But if this organization, they were willing to help me on that side of it when it came to the leads, to be able to get out there and work. And all I had to do is go out and bet on myself and write the business, and the leads would pay for themselves. Had I not had that privilege, I guess you could say, when it came to the leads, who knows? Who knows if I'd even still be in the business? Because like I said, at 21 years, I didn't have money to be paying for leads every day or every week. And one thing with that too, though, the nice thing about it took a lot off of me. All I had to worry about was going out and working. I didn't have to worry about figuring out where to order leads, how many to order. Like, I had people that were kind of handling that side of the business for me. And that's kind of what I like about what I'm doing now, locally, is working with kind of like the same sort of group of young agents that don't have a whole lot of money, I don't think, to get started. I mean, we're talking 18, 19 year olds. They don't have a whole lot. So I don't think they'd really have a whole lot to invest in leads, but they do have the motivation. They see the opportunity of really what could be, and they're willing to get out there and work. But I know that it can be pretty tasking to start in a business and have to figure out your lead orders, figure out how many to order, and try to figure out how to come up with the money to pay for them. So that's what I like with kind of what I have going. I handle all of that for these guys. I handle their leads. I handle their orders and all that stuff. All they have to worry about is going out and seeing people. And as long as they're willing to go out and do that, they'll be fine. So I just think that, like we said, if you got other people that are willing to help you, it's going to make your job a lot easier. And that's just something. Let people focus on working and going out and seeing people, and we can handle the rest. And in time, maybe they'll decide that they want to start handling the leads themselves. But I think it could be overwhelming, and you don't want to get overwhelmed to the point that you're in and out of the business just because there's just too much to do.
Yeah, I've realized that less can be more. Like, realize what you can do, what you have to outsource, what you need to delegate, what you need to disregard, what you need to delay, and putting first things first is so important. You also made an analogy earlier today that I want to get on the record, get out there in content world, because I think it was so awesome. You made a Super Bowl analogy about betting on the Super Bowl. Share that analogy again with the viewing audience, because I think it's one of your best.
Yeah, again, we talk about leads. We talk about agents who are maybe afraid to invest into leads and afraid to invest the money into leads. But then they'll go on a sports app and then they'll bet on a football game. They'll bet on the Super Bowl. They're willing to put $300 or $400 even into some bets to see if they can win some money. And it's like, I think the best rate of return or the best investment is when you can spend $500 and turn that around by just going out and seeing people and making some sales, and you're gonna come out much further ahead than a risky bet where you can't really control the outcome. With leads, we can control the outcome as long as we're willing to go out and see the people and make some sales. And I mean, heck, worst case scenario, you double your money. That there's no chance that there's no chance that there's no guarantee that you could place a bet on a game, the Super Bowl, and double your money. You could invest $400 in a bet and that money's just gone. So,
but if you bet on
when it comes to leads, you're not gonna. What's that again?
But if you bet on yourself, you can absolutely win that bet every day, every week, and every
time.
month.
Every time. I mean, I could probably count on one hand in 21 years the amount of times I've had a lead order and struck out completely. It doesn't happen. You're going to make your money back, and you're probably going to double your money at least, bare minimum.
Well said. And on that note, do me a favor, bet on yourself. Don't half-ass the business. If you are half-assing the business, decide if don't do it. But do this: like the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. Hell, share it out to people that need to see the kind of stuff that we're talking about. The more you do those things, the more this video, this channel, and this content continues to grow. Adam, I appreciate you taking the time on a Friday to put the word out there.